Welcome to class, everyone. Tonight, because it's a full moon tonight, I'm going to talk you through a full moon guided meditation. So you can choose to either sit or lie down for this meditation. Making sure you're comfortable, so blankets and props and anything else you need, maybe socks on or a scarf. And then starting to settle into your posture and closing your eyes. I'll give you a few moments to rearrange yourself if you need to and get comfy. As you finish all those last movements, starting to come to that place of stillness, eyes closed, and so dropping your awareness down to the earth and feeling the parts of your body connected to the mat. So if you're choosing to be seated for this meditation, remember a long spine, open heart, shoulders over hips. And if you're lying down, you can have your legs and arms in any kind of shape that's comfortable for you. And we start to close down the eyes. And begin to visualize the moonlight. And you might like to visualize this as the full moon in the sky. Noticing the shape and the colour. Noticing the beams of the moon. And sensing and feeling the light and the energy that comes from the moon. And as you let your breath flow naturally, soft, gentle rhythm, start to feel that the moon's light is filling your room. And as it fills your room, starting to sense that that light and energy is also filling your body. And feeling the way that this lunar energy is filling your body in any way you would like to feel and visualize that. So it might be from the soles of your feet moving up. Maybe you feel this energy start in your heart chakra area, or maybe down around your solar plexus area, and then you start to feel this energy grow. Maybe you feel the lunar energy start at the top of your head and then flow down towards your feet. And keeping your body relaxed and the breath flowing smoothly. And as you feel that you'll become full of this energy from the moon, maybe you'll also start to sense this space around you. So you might visualize this as that you're contained within a circle or an egg of light. And once you feel that you're completely surrounded and protected by this energy, dropping your inner awareness to your heart center so that you can set your sankalpa for practice. And the full moon, it is the time when we can start to release. And it's a time over these next 2 weeks when we look back on what we've done in the previous 2 weeks to see if the actions we've taken or the words or the thoughts we've connected with have helped to serve our higher purpose, so to help to serve an intention we've been working with. Now when you have your sankalpa in mind, repeating this to yourself 3 times. Taking your focus to your breath. Visualizing the moonlight enveloping and purifying you. So cleansing body, mind, and spirit. And as you feel this cleansing energy, maybe also consciously letting go of anything that's no longer serving you. So anything you'd like to release, you can say thank you for your service. You're free to move on. And pause here, breathing. And as you finish this practice of releasing, bring full awareness back to your breath. And starting to move your awareness outside of you so that you become aware of the room you're in. Feel your body touching the mat. Becoming aware of any sound or scent. You can bring some movement to your fingers and to your toes. Start to slowly open your eyes, so you might like to flutter the eyelids open and close a few times as you let the light back in. If you're not already seated, start to move the body a little bit more so that the feet will ground first and then roll to your side. Slowly come up when you're ready. And Taking your legs straight out. So getting any props that you need to sit on. I've got a blanket, you might like to have one too, or a towel, or even a block. And we're going to take our legs wide here into a V shape, the dragonfly. And you're going to do whatever you need to do with your legs so that we can start to get a stretch in the inner thigh and groin area. So this might be keeping the legs straight, might be bending the knees a little bit or a lot. If you've got any props, you might want to place towels or socks or something behind the backs of the knees so that you can let the legs relax down onto them. And if you'd like to come into the forward bend this evening, we'll take a breath in here, lift up the spine, heart is open. And then as you breathe out, slowly coming forward. And you might like to pause here in this first point of stretch, this first moment when you can feel sensations in the body and checking in with where you can feel those. So this posture, we're going to be feeling it in different parts, so probably along the back line of the body and maybe even along the calves or around the knees, where the intention is this inner part of the leg. We're adjusting. Remember, the legs can be bent so much that you have the soles of the feet on the mat and come forward. And if you'd like to support yourself in this posture, so I have a bolster of blocks, but you might be wanting to use other props that you've got, so lots of blankets, or you can use books covered by blankets, and you might like to start to bring your body to rest on your props. So first option might be having a little stack of props and resting your forearms here. And as you feel the body start to release, it might be coming a little bit lower, but getting rid of some of the height. Some of us might come all the way down to have our belly and our chest resting on the bolster. And if you do have a bolster at home and you're not going to get that low tonight, you can always take your bolster and press it into your chest and rest your heart on the end of your bolster and then let your arms drape over the top of it. And then coming back to your breath, we're going to stay here for about 5 minutes tonight. So the full moon is generally associated with yang energy, so fire and heat, and sometimes as this relates to our practice, you might feel as though you're wanting to move more or have a more physical practice or a more dynamic practice. So some of the postures I've chosen tonight will bring aspects of that dynamic stretch into our practice. We're wanting to retain the essence of yin as part of that. So letting go. So this practice of releasing, or what is no longer serving you in life, we can bring this aspect of releasing into our postures as well. So if there's movements or if you're coming into the postures in the same way each time, you might like to let go of any preconceived ideas about how to do the stretch and explore other ways, using other props, maybe straightening legs, bending knees. And when we come to our next few postures, there'll be ways for you to see if you're wanting to do things on your back instead of on your front, and vice versa. And if it's comfortable, eyes closed. Especially in this posture, I really love eyes closed or a very soft gaze so that you can become more internalized about the way you experience this posture. So we don't have to worry about how straight our legs are, how far forward we come. We're just letting our body be however it wants to be. And take a few more breaths here. So staying with your breath, staying with eyes closed or soft. And count 2 more breaths here. So 2 more of your own breaths. And after you've completed those 2 breaths, as slow as you can, take 3 breaths to come up. So we'll lift up slightly, have a pause as you let the breath come out. And then coming up a little bit higher. And pause here. Starting to lift the head, so moving chin away from chest. You might want to take hands underneath the thighs. So very slowly bring your knees back towards you and take any kind of rebound shape that you like. So you can choose to stay seated. Maybe you'll be here keeping your knees bent. You might want to come into a hug here. If you want to lie down on your back or your belly on your side, you can slowly start to release. And knowing that these rebound shapes, these places where we come to pause, they don't have to look like any kind of yoga posture. So letting the body simply relax, and especially letting the insides of your thighs soften here. And have a moment to check in. Notice sensations in your body. Notice if you need to make any gentle movements to release. If you're hugging knees to chest or you're hugging knees towards you in a seated posture, you can do a little movement side to side. And we want to keep these movements, if we're making movements, slow and gentle. And then coming to a tabletop, so take your time to move. You might want props for this next posture as well. So I'll talk you through pigeon pose, and then we can look at other variations for the posture. So you might want to have your bolster and a blanket handy for you to grab hold of. And coming to a tabletop, we start on our right side. So if you're coming into pigeon, so or sleeping swan, we're going to take our right knee over towards our right hand and then start to slide this left leg back. So this posture is all about the right side, outside of the glutes, maybe down along the leg. And we're going to position our body in a way so that we can get this sensation. So it might be pigeon here, and it could be coming down up towards the ground. This is where you might like to use props. So you could have your books or your blocks, and you might be resting your forearms on here to stay quite calm. And you might have a stack of blankets, or you might have your bolster. And you might be using the bolster to support your heart. So this could look like coming further down, but having something underneath you. So if you don't have a bolster, you could take a couple of blankets and put them there. If you've got your bolster, you can always run it down lengthways down the mat. If you're not wanting to come into pigeon today, we can also do this as deer pose. So deer pose, we start in a butterfly shape, keeping this right leg where it is, and then we take this left leg back. And so in this way, we'll start to come forward again like in pigeon, but we're keeping this right body on the mat. So we're not lifting up and coming all the way into the pigeon shape. So this left leg can do whatever it wants to if you're coming into deer, and then we can come forward again, maybe moving either side. And making sure no pain in this posture. So if there's any sensations of discomfort or pain in your hips or in your knees or even in your feet, so sometimes people don't enjoy this with their ankles or the way that the foot's positioned, you can always come up to do deer pose. And if deer pose isn't working for you either, there's always our option to do this on our back. So we will take our right ankle to our left thigh and pause here. Taking any other variations you like in this reclined pigeon. And this posture can be pretty intense for some of us. So this again comes back to our practice of release. So there's this aspect of the posture being quite dynamic and it being a really big stretch down on the outside of your right leg and into your right glute. And use your breath out to let go. The letting go might be releasing any clenching. Letting go might be letting the shoulders soften forward a little bit more. Letting go might be taking more props to support the front of your body so that you have extra height that allows you to be comfortable with letting the bolster or your blanket or whatever props you're using take the weight of the upper body. And being as still as possible. And being aware of your breath. Being aware of the movement of the inhales and the exhales. And without changing the breath, being aware of how long your breath in is. And paying attention to the length of the breath out. Being here for just over 3 minutes. We will be here for about another minute. If you need to release, you can start to come up and come out of your posture to move into your rebound. If you are still comfortable and this sensation is a big stretch, there's no sensations of pain in the body, and stay here and soften. For 30 more seconds in our pigeon. If you've come to your rebound already, any shape you want and pause. One more full round of breath if you're still in pigeon. And then we'll start to lift up. When I lift up, you might be pausing as you bring the torso up. Remembering our rebounds can be any kind of shape, so you might roll onto the right hip and then come into this soft position lying on your side. You might release, come onto your belly to be forward facing Shavasana. Maybe you're choosing child's pose or any other kind of shape that will help you soften and release, and making sure that that right leg isn't active. Then we'll pause here. And scanning the body, so getting a sense of how the right leg feels. Maybe you're feeling the movement of the blood and the energy and the release through the fascia on that right leg and right glute. Noticing how that feels different to the left leg. And take a few more breaths. And slowly, in your own time, lifting up and come back to your tabletop. There's no rush, so if you're pausing and taking a breath or two between movements, allow yourself that time of rest. And then we'll move to our left side. So the options that we could come into, and it doesn't have to be the same shape as you did for the first side. It might be a pigeon, so left knee towards left wrist. You'll let your shin come to any kind of angle. So we're wanting to let the leg lay wherever it naturally wants to. So it'll be determined by how our hip joint is going. And we're not going to move our shin here. We're going to let that lay exactly as it wants to. And then we might start to lower down. So the right leg is straight, and you might take forearms to the mat, or maybe you're using your props again, so blocks, blankets, bolsters. You might be laying your heart down onto your bolster or your blocks or your blanket. And then there's other options if you're not doing pigeon tonight. You might be in a butterfly shape to come into deer. So deer, this time right leg comes back. And thinking about our intention is outside of the left leg, we can come into a forward bend in our deer, moving the torso when you need to. And if you're doing this one on your back, we'll lie all the way down, left ankle to right thigh, and taking any variations here that you'd like to on the left side. And then start to settle into your pose. So this posture is also another long hold. It's anywhere between 3 and 4.5 minutes, depending upon when you exit from the posture. And as you come into these initial sensations of releasing and getting used to being in this shape, checking in with your body. So are there any sensations of pain in the hip, in the knee, in the foot? We can always come to a different variation for this side. And then our intention again is this big stretch along the left, outside of the left leg, up into the left glute. And let your body relax and release here. So remember, if you need to, place extra props underneath your chest so that you can just and be in your shape. And checking in with all of those aspects of your body where you can soften a little bit more. So notice what your hands are doing. Sometimes we unconsciously are pressing our hands down or making fists with their hands. If there's any tension in the hands, let them soften. Palms up or palms down. And then as you take your awareness up along the arms to the shoulders, again check. Can you let go a little bit more? Heart's moving down towards the earth, maybe supported by your props. Check in with the hips. Check in with that straight leg. And check in with your feet. Relaxed feet here. Let your toes soften. And being in complete stillness, as still as we can possibly be. Awareness of your breath. This breath is comfortable in and out through the nose. Just past our 3-minute mark, so if your body is ready to come out of pigeon, you can very slowly start to lift up. I'll let you know once we get to 4 and 4.5 minute mark, and that will be the final release if you're still in pigeon right then. Notice where your attention is. Notice if there's any internal distraction, so any talk, any chatter. If you can let that go, come back to your breath. We have 30 more seconds here. We're taking that last round of breath. And when you're ready, start to move into your rebound. So there's a little lift to the torso, or maybe you're staying low and you're rolling all the way over. You might come onto your back and just let your limbs splay. You can let your leg be straight and one be bent. Maybe you're moving back to child's pose or coming to the forward facing Shavasana. Whatever shape you'd like to take, and pause here. Maybe a few sighs out. We'll stay here for a couple more breaths. And then starting to lift up, coming to your tabletop. And this is going to be probably for most of us the most dynamic posture that we do tonight. So we're coming into a dragon, which is a low lunge, and maybe blanket here. So we'll step our right foot forward first. So if you've got a blanket, you can get it set up to pad your left knee, and then step the right foot forward. And you might even have your blocks or your bolster handy to use as well, depending upon how low you want to come with your posture. So we have right foot forward, left knee is back. And this posture is all about sensation in the back leg. So we're looking for what will most likely be a really big stretch in the top of the thigh, into your hip flexor, and you might even start to feel this up into your abdominal muscles here on the left side of your body. So you need to lift your knee up and down. We'll talk about variations once you're in this posture to start with. So we can have our right toes and right knee face forward and pause here. So we're going to move the body around in any way you need to get this stretched. So for some of us, I'll face you so you can see the different variations. You might choose to bring your right arm on the inside of your right leg, and maybe you want to take your right foot out towards the right a little bit more. And you might want to stay here with your hands on the mat, or you might even want to come down even lower, taking your forehead or your chest down. So this is where you might be using props, give you that little bit of height, maybe placing your forearms here. So if you're in this posture and you're really not feeling much, if you're feeling this more in your hip, maybe you'd like to come up to a more higher position to dragon. So maybe having hands on your right thigh, or maybe even taking your forearms down. So if you want to adjust, we'll have a few moments before I start timing to come into your dragon. So thinking about this back leg here. Now, some of us might want to use the bolster underneath the leg. So maybe if you've got a bolster at home, you want to take the bolster and place your thigh against the bolster so that it might be more comfortable for your knee. Same options, torso up or torso down. And if you're not really getting enough, you can always turn this into more of a split type position. So you can start to straighten that front leg and take your left leg back, and maybe we'll be here. So you'll notice that my feet are a lot further apart than in that position we started. And then once you're in your dragon, we're going to be here. And eyes closed. And focusing on your breath. So for this posture, in Yin, we look at doing minimum 2 minutes in these holds so that we can start to get that beneficial stretch in the fascia. So I'll let you know when we get to 2 minutes. That might be enough for your body tonight. I'll allow you the space to be there for 3 minutes. So I'll let you know when we get to 2 minutes and also to 3 minutes. And so this is one of those postures where we want to see, can we be soft, even in a posture that is actually quite dynamic and can be really challenging for us. So we can use our breath to release here. And you might notice this in places like in your hips. So you might be in your lunge and you're kind of holding and squeezing here. Can you let go? Maybe the back toes need to release. And there might be somewhere in your upper body. So maybe it's shoulders coming forward. Maybe it's a softening of the hands. So even as you hold your torso in this position, if your hands are on the mat, maybe you can let the fingers relax a little bit more here. But maybe it's closing the eyes and letting your heart move down. Letting the right toes relax. about 2-minute point. If your body is asking you to release, you slowly, anywhere you can, come into a rebound, that pause shape. If your body is, I'm going to say comfortable, but it might not be the right word. If your body is still okay to be in your dragon shape, we've got about 40 seconds to go. Really use your breath. If you're still in your dragon, use your breath as a way to keep that sense of calmness. While holding your breath, it might be an indicator that it's time to come out. So one more full round of breath. And moving very, very slowly, start to come into any kind of shape to pause and release. And then you can slide onto your side or slide onto your belly. Not necessary to exit the posture the same way that you entered it. So if you just want to let go, let go. Now, it would be ideal to be in a rebound where you're not really needing to use your legs. So the posture that I'm in is probably not a great one because you'll be stretching the same area that you did in your dragon. So straddle's not really recommended as your rebound, but if you want to come to a seated posture, you might just be here with your legs out in front. Again, you can hug your knees either seated or lying on your back. And be soft, be still. We'll do a few more breaths here, checking in that you're letting every part of your body relax. And then we'll start to come up for our other side. So as you lift up, you'll get the blanket set up for your right knee. If you are using it on the other side, step our left foot forward. You're going to get any props that you need, so blocks or bolsters. And knowing, again, asymmetrical postures don't necessarily need to do the same thing on this side that we did on the other side. So it might be the fingertips on the floor. It might be letting your weight come down onto your leg. Remember, focus is on the back, the right leg. So the right quad, top of the thigh, into the hip flexor, and maybe even feeling it up into your abdomen. And it might be moving your left foot out. So remember, it doesn't need to stay in that straight position where you're taking it. It might be taking the left foot out to the left hand on the inside of the leg. So we call this one, this will be looking more like a lizard pose that we do in our upper practice. It might be lowering down, so you can use block, books, bolster, maybe your forearms are coming down here. So remember, it's not so much about this left hip sensation, it's the right leg sensation. And if you've got that bolster, you can take your time. I haven't started the count yet, so if you're still moving about to get comfortable, still have time here. So again, it might be taking the bolster so that you can rest your thigh on the bolster. Maybe the torso's up. And then when you're ready, come to your pause. That stillness in your dragon shape. So being as still as possible as we get that stretch. So we're going to stretch down the top of the right leg into the right hip flexor. And if this means that you're moving your torso to the side a little bit, that is also okay. That helps to target the stretching to the area that we're wanting to get into. And complete focus on your breath here. And feeling your exhales help you to sink a little bit deeper, let go a little bit more. Every time there's a distraction, so maybe it's the internal distraction of your mind talking, maybe it's the distraction of you feeling these sensations of the mind wanting to analyze or ask you to get out of your shape. Know that we're almost at our 2-minute point. Every time there's that distraction, just bring your awareness back to your breath. So this may have been the sensations and feelings could be a completely different experience on this side. So if your body's ready to release, we'll come to our 2-minute mark. And if you're okay, we'll be here for 1 more minute. Thirty more seconds, yeah. Notice where your inner drishti is at. Notice any thoughts, any feelings that are arising for you. And we can let go of what no longer serves us. With 1 more breath in and out. And then coming to your release. Your rebound shape. Moving slowly, being mindful of your knee and top of your thigh, big stretching and taking any kind of pause position. And you might be using props here to be in your rebound shape. So you can see the screen, you'll be able to see that I've got a bolster underneath my knees to come into a really relaxed version of butterfly. You might be using the bolster under your knees if you're coming to lie on your back. Maybe on your forearms, maybe you're releasing all the way into Shavasana. And a complete stillness in our rebound as well. Eyes closed if it's okay for you tonight. And staying focused on your breath. Notice how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally. And slowly coming back up to the tabletop. So we'll be on our knees again for this one, but I will give you an option to do this posture seated as well if you want to come off your knees. So puppy pose for us tonight. Have your blanket if you need padding for your knees set up. so that there's comfort for the placement of the knees. And if you're coming into puppy pose, hips are going to stay on top of the knees here, and we'll walk our hands forward so that our hips stay high, and then we're bringing the body down towards the mat. And this is an upper body stretch, so sensation down the back line of the body. You might even be feeling this in your hamstrings and other parts of your body, but mostly focused on back line stretch. Now, if you're ready to come off your knees and would prefer to do a seated variation, we'll come to sit, legs out in front, any kind of bend in the knees, and then round forward into a seated forward bend. So we'll be looking more like this, and then working with our strength or bending like the legs. And if you're in a puppy pose, checking in with how your body's feeling, how your shoulders are feeling, and some options here for you. So we have forehead on the mat, or we might even have forehead on a prop if that feels better for the neck. And the arms can be splayed as much as you need, so elbows out to the sides. The hands can be really close, so you might have hands close to your head. If your forehead's on the mat, you might like to see how it feels to take your chin to the mat. So looking forward a little bit more. But it doesn't always feel great for some of us in the back of our neck. So if you're not loving this position with chin on the mat, bring your forehead back to the mat. And then if you feel as though you'd like to get some more movement, so more stretch, getting more heart down towards the mat, you could take your bolster and place your forearms on your bolster, and then let your body come down. If you don't have a bolster, you could be using a stack of towels or blankets, or even blocks if you've got them. You could have one block for each forearm. And once you've made any adjustments to your puppy pose, come back to your still place. Make sure there's no sensations of pain in the shoulders. So if there's any pain, remember, come up. You can always get this stretch from the back body by being in the seated variation. If you're looking for super restful, if you're not completely comfortable and at ease where you are, you can always take a bolster or your stack of blankets or towels, and you can rest your heart down onto the bolster. And eyes closed or soft. Every breath out, let your body soften a little bit more. The awareness at your breath. And using that connection to your breath as a way to keep you calm and steady. And you might connect with this sensation of the breath being a tool to soothe you in this posture as well. And to connect to that natural rhythm in and out. We've got 30 more seconds here. If you're ready to rebound already, slowly come out. You're okay in your puppy pose. We have a few more breaths here. last full round of breath. And taking it back to your rebounds, any kind of shape you like. So could be moving straight into forward facing Shavasana. Might be moving gently back to a child's pose. Any kind of place you'd like to pause. And letting the body rest. Letting the breath flow smoothly. Maybe releasing the jaw, letting the muscles of your cheeks soften. And slowly starting to come onto your back, and if you have a prop, you're going to get our legs up in the air before Shavasana. So props that you can use: a blanket, fold it over a few times like this one, your bolster or a block if you've got one, a cushion off your couch. It doesn't really matter about the size of the prop, because when we get the prop set up, we're only going to be kind of on the edge of it. So even if you're using like a big square cushion off your couch, that is also okay. So if you're wanting to put socks or anything on before you come to lie down, so that you don't need to move too much once we've finished with our legs up in the air, getting everything that you need on, and then slowly start to roll down. And you'll need to get your props underneath you. But if you don't have any props, I'll show you an option that you can use your hands and arms with. So if you're using props, we're going to get the prop will be right on the edge of it. So you can see where my blanket is, blanket's edge is here, which means that if you are using a big cushion, you're just going to have most of the cushion towards the edge, bottom edge of your mat. We want to get our legs up. So this wedge, the gap, the prop, we're using it to get a little lift in our hips so that it doesn't feel like there's really much effort at all to get the legs up in the air. You don't want the legs completely straight, you can always bend them so the heels come down towards your body. And if you don't have any props handy, you can take your hands and place them underneath your bottom, so you might have your index finger and your thumb tip touching. And then same options, knees can be bent with the feet close to your bottom, or you might be taking the legs up to the sky. And we'll relax, yeah, so close your eyes. Let the feet be soft. Maybe there's a little bend in the knees. Shoulder blades on the mat. The jaw is soft. Feels okay, eyes are closed. If you like to use an eye pillow for Shavasana, you might even have that over your eyes now. You can start to prepare the body for full relaxation. And feeling all the points of your body touching the mat. And your arms can be any place they'd like. You might have them by your sides. They might be up overhead to give the insides of the armpits and the shoulders a stretch here. You're going to be here for 30 more seconds. So if you'd like to bend your knees to get the feet a little bit lower for these last few moments in Viparita Karate, you can start to take the feet down. A few more breaths. And then very slowly bring the soles of your feet back down to the mat. You need to lift the hips just enough to move your prop. So you can either take your prop out completely, or you might like to move it down towards the backs of the knees so that you can rest your knees on your prop. If there's any last movements you'd like to make before Shavasana, please take a moment to hug knees to chest, or if there's a little flowing twist you'd like to take. Then start to find your way into your final posture, your final rebound for tonight. And remembering this is a full and complete release, so if there's anything you need to be comfortable, blankets or socks or eye pillows or scarves over your eyes. Eyes will close. Feel the toes pop out to the sides. Feel that the legs are heavy, the belly soft, lower back released, shoulder blades on the mat. Softness to the jaw and the cheeks and the forehead. Take a breath in and release through the mouth. Allowing your body to settle and soften completely. Full breath into your belly and release through the mouth. As you start to bring awareness back to where you are again, making small movements to wake yourself up. As you begin to expand these movements to move the arms and the legs and the head. Maybe you'd like to stretch out the whole body, lift the arms and point the toes. Take another full breath in. Maybe another sigh out. When you're ready, roll to your right side and gently lift up to your comfortable seated posture. And once you get to your seat, eyes closed or soft, and we'll pause for a moment with our hands at heart center. Eyes closed, spine long. Coming back to your intention, your sankalpa that you said at the start of practice. Repeating this to yourself 3 times. And feeling again how your whole being is full of that pure energy and light from full moon. And feeling your whole body full of this light. You feel this light radiating from your being, from your very center, out into the space around you. And we'll seal our practice together with one Om, taking a breath in through the nose. Gratitude for our practice this evening. Bowing your head, hands to third eye. Namaste. Thank you for sharing practice this evening. Have a great night, everyone.
Jackie?
You're welcome. Hopefully you can get
Thanks,
outside.
Jackie.
The moon's bright.
I don't think I've been mute for that long all day.
What was that?
I don't think I've been mute that long all day. No one's muted me for an hour and a quarter yet all day.
How does it feel?
Very, very odd.
I hope that you feel a little bit rejuvenated then.